no one understands. Mom and Dad and Vicky always giving him commands. Boom, boom, up in his room, it's broken instantly. Eyes magic, little fish, grab his every wish. Cause in reality they are his odd parents, fairly odd parents.
Wands and wings, floaty crowny things.
Odd parents, fairly odd parents. Ribbon, beep, pop, 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 pop.
All right. That was actually way too good, and I was about to keep listening to it. I'm Pumpkin Jack, and today we're coming out of the Ghastly Hallows. I'm accompanied today by...
Bolts with the Rolling Thunder.
This is Red.
That's right. We're going to continue to impersonate Star Trek captains as we move, as we go forward. Ooh. Cool beans. I can actually do this now. So today we are finally back after another small sort of break that we took in between here, but don't worry. It was totally this guy's fault again, but I'm just not going to say his name anymore. So if I say it into the technology, he hears it, and then, we have delays, and then, I got to explain it to people what I did like 2 months ago, and it turns into a whole mess. So we're just going to ignore that this guy did it again. Yeah, it's that same DJ guy, one of those DJs from Instagram. Hi, H-Center. So we're just gonna do the thing where we ignore that ass wipe can affect us because, yeah. So today on the
We're
subject,
going to demanifest him.
yes, we have to find a way to demanifest him. I know people in the church, yet I still have this guy haunting me for some reason. I need to tap into those contacts. So today the subject is fan theories, cartoon theories, dark theories that are mentioned on that. And I actually wanted to start this one off in a different way. Normally I give the bill down, but I think the name speaks for itself, fan theories, right?
I think most people know what we're talking about. They're sometimes called conspiracy theories about the cartoons.
Yes. And it doesn't just extend to cartoons. It also sometimes goes into our favorite, TV shows that we love to watch, the live action ones.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? And on occasion,
It's like kind of like wild, off the wall, fun interpretations,
Yep.
or like alternate backstories about what the show is, like what you're actually seeing when you watch the show. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yep, and it can also be very interesting how some folks will actually take these very seriously. And after taking them seriously, will actually interpret it to be the real deal. Like, it's actually been happening a lot with films in the past 10 years, believe it or not. But we'll actually get into that one in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, I actually wanted to ask you guys, what was the first theory you guys ever came across?
Interesting. For me personally, it was the humans are Pokemon and humans related. For me.
Pokemon?
Yep. Yeah, that was like one of the earliest part of my childhood of when I started to follow like series and stuff.
So, oddly enough, wait, what is the Pokemon human theory?
So, which is let me just provide some context. So, Pokemon, for those who are uninitiated or just been living under a rock, is a really popular Nintendo video game series produced by Game Freak, a company originally from Japan. But yeah, basically, Pokemon is a series where you have children who go out into the wild unsupervised and capture animal-like beings called Pokemon.
It's called unstructured play. Come on.
Sure. Well, no, there's a structure to it. Because, the badge. No one cares about that. But basically, there was a line in one of the games, specifically Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, is apparently canon, and you can find this text in a book in the Canalave Library in the Sinnoh region, where it states that there once were Pokemon that became very close to humans. There once were humans and Pokemon that ate together at the same table. It was a time when there existed no differences between the two. So yeah, that is where that theory originated from.
Interesting.
Click it and you miss it type of thing.
Actually, the first time I ever heard a theory was actually with Pokemon 2. It actually is a very early one. Anybody from back in the day who might come across this might remember the Gamer from Mars. So, Gamer from Mars actually introduced one that was very simple. It's an in-game theory. If you ever played the original Red and Blue, you face Green or whatever the hell, the rival, right? Blue, Green, whatever. You face off against him on the St. Mary's boat or something like that.
Oh, that one.
And then you fight his Raticate, and you beat the Raticate. That's his last Pokemon in his arsenal. You then run into him again about another town or so later in Lavender Town. And when you run into him in Lavender Town, he's mourning a dead Pokemon. Or I think he's mourning his Raticate, right? Or something like that?
It's implied, because if you notice his party, the Raticate is notably absent in that rival fight.
Yeah.
Which is unavoidable, by the way. Both of those fights are unavoidable. So those are canon-esque battles in the series.
And then you also get the joy of this awesome banger. Anybody listening to the stream on Ryan would know exactly what song I'm playing. I love listening to this on my drive down on a spooky day. If anybody's ever heard this one a few times. I better stop or Game Freak comes into my house and beats me up.
Oh my. Yeah, no, no. Considering that Nintendo might be in the midst of another lawsuit this week, I am not in the mood to take on Nintendo.
Well, why not right now? Because they're spread thin. Their lawyers are all over the place.
No. Don't even think of as an invitation to start a fight with Nintendo, because I have yet to see them take a noticeable loss, and I do not count Power as a loss. That's just a temporary setback. They're still working.
What as a loss?
Power World.
Oh, it could fucking beat Power World. That's an own game with its own thing. If they didn't win against South Park, what the hell made anybody think they were going to win against Power World? We are the Jim Pogo Master. So, Red, what is your theories that you've heard of?
So the one that I think I heard first, or at least it kind of lodged in my memory first, was that each character in SpongeBob SquarePants is modeled after one of the 7 deadly sins.
Ooh.
Yeah. Do you know this one?
I think I might have heard of it, but can
you
elaborate a little bit on it?
Okay. So, Squidward is Wrath because he's very temperamental, short fuse. Patrick is Sloth because he's lazy. Mr. Krabs is, let me hear it.
Greed.
Yep, Mr. Krabs is greed. Gary is gluttony because he eats. They all eat, but he's supposed to be the pet and eats especially enthusiastically, I guess. Plankton is envy because he wants the secret formula from the Krusty Krab. Sandy is pride because she's from Texas and she's very proud of that. And there's a whole episode about it. It's one of my favorite episodes.
Don't mess with Texas.
Yeah. I want to wake up in Texas. The ocean's no place for a squirrel. Anyway.
I want to go home.
I want to go home. And you know the last part of that song where there's the really deep male voice that comes in, I wanna go home.
Yep.
That's Junior Brown, who was a famous country singer, songwriter, and a guitar player. I guess they just brought him into the studio to do that one thing. Um, and SpongeBob is supposed to be lust, not because he is sexually active, not that we know of. If he's a sponge, you know,
He's
like
asexual. So
he
that
he might be sexually active, but not directly because they don't actually engage in coitus when they reproduce. Anyway,
So in
that's
one episode, he actually does reproduce in front of everybody, and he goes, "I can reproduce by budding," and then you see
budding.
like little
He
things.
reproduced by
growing.
budding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he does reproduce, but asexually. But so it's not lust in that sense, but it's lust because he loves everybody. He loves indiscriminately. So that one, I think that's the first one that I ever heard, and it's a pretty solid interpretation. You know, it fits the facts pretty well. I like it.
You know, I actually like that one too, but what's actually very interesting to me with SpongeBob is that SpongeBob is also there's another theory with SpongeBob, which I think is I don't know if it's ever gonna get proven true if it was already or not. But that Bikini Bottom is the site of a nuclear testing.
Yes.
Nuclear testing.
Yeah, and like Goo Lagoon, which is the beach that they go to, that's like just made of nuclear waste. And it's like why, and that's why the I think that's part of it. But yeah, but that's like why um the fish can talk, all the other animals can talk, you know. Yeah. So,
well, just to back up a second to the seven deadly sins
sure.
conspiracy
Yeah.
theory. How is Gary, who's a literal snail who moves at the speed of molasses, not sloth? Like it's like if Mr. Krabs is
Because
like
Gary is a
Red
very
Panther,
proactive character, though, like one way or another.
He's a
but
precocious snail.
but he moves at his own sluggish pace. It's like it kind of speaks for itself, no? It's like Mr. Krabs is as greedy as the earth is full with dirt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, I think you could say that either Gary or Patrick are sloth or gluttony, because Patrick eats a lot too.
Yeah, he does. Remember that time he ate the popsicle and then he forgot he ate the popsicle and then he started getting pissed at SpongeBob thinking, "Yeah,
It was a chocolate bar.
you ate my chocolate bar.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
serious. Where's my chocolate bar?"
That's right. You took my only food. Now I'm gonna starve. And then it pans down to this painting of Patrick's grotesque stomach.
Yeah, I've seen that meme be used with Disney and like when they get pissed that another property doesn't belong to them because they lack creativity and haven't been able to make anything in years because Disney sucks.
Now I'm gonna starve. Yeah, that's
Now
good.
I'm gonna starve. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I just need to kind of everybody who's watched us before, listened to us on Spotify, especially you TikTokers out there who might be tuning in that watch me once in a blue. I hate Disney. The only reason I pay for Disney Plus is because they have my fucking Simpsons on it. Otherwise, it's been a while since the last movie I liked. I really, really liked one of their movies. The first time I liked one was Turning Red, and that was years ago. That was like it took a while in between. So
It was like 3 years ago, I
it
think.
was 3 years, but it took like a long time to get me to sit in that to get me like, yay, I'm actually excited about something.
Uh-huh.
Because they didn't follow up on the movies I did want to see. No, they just did a prequel to Monsters Inc. Who the fuck asked for that? Who asked for like a Monsters University? I'm still waiting. Anybody?
It was a decent movie.
I enjoyed it.
Anybody listening, please tell me who was waiting for Monsters University? Anybody? Anybody?
I think I was waiting on the sequel to that.
I was waiting on Monsters
This-
too.
Your silence is deafening.
Although I can't actually give out what was apparently was supposed to be Monsters Inc. 2. It was very interesting. So Monsters Inc. 2 was written and everything, but John Lasseter apparently rejected it because it was way too dark of a sequel.
Mm.
Yes, he just reviewed got it. Okay. Nobody gonna answer that fucking question. Nobody was waiting for that one. They were happy when they got it, but it wasn't what they wanted to see. You know? It's kind of
Right.
like when you go to a burger joint and they give you like a really, really top-notch chicken sandwich. You didn't want a chicken sandwich, you were going for a burger, but you know, it's like, all right, fine, I got a chicken sandwich, I'm happy. But it's not what I wanted, but I'll take it, kind of thing. So, just fuck that movie. So, damn it, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, the sequel for Monsters Inc. 2. So, there was actually one proposed, which I'll actually use this to pivot into one of the theories that I've heard very recently, and people keep updating it. You guys ever heard of the Pixar theory?
That it's all in one universe.
Yep, it's all one shared universe and different points in the timeline.
Yes, that one.
So, the sequel for Monsters Inc., I think, would have kind of pulled all of it together. You would have seen the timeline merge from the way it sounds. Because the idea was when Sully opens the door at the end of Monsters Inc. 1, right? He sees he'll hear Kitty, remember? That's how it ends.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So the sequel would have picked up from there.
My heart. Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry. I needed a moment.
I went to silence. And we're done.
Just like let me dry my tears.
Oh, you're going to start crying a little bit of this one.
All
So
right.
the sequel was going to open up where he sees an old woman say Kitty, and they're like, "You're not Boo." And then Mike walks in. Mike freaks out. He's like, "Oh, hell, this isn't Boo. It must be the wrong door. It looked a lot like the real one. Let's get out of here, Mike." And then when they turn around, the door's closed, and then they can't get back to their world. Mm-hmm. So they're looking for Boo throughout the entirety of the sequel, the entirety of the film. And they're
Wait,
kind of like,
so the sequel would have made that not Boo at the end?
"Oh, you got to hold on.
Oh,
you
that
gotta-
would have ruined.
You got to hold on. You got to hold on."
Oh, okay, yeah.
So you're kind of like the hijinks of them, like monsters in man's world or whatever. And then in the end, they find out that someone is able to kind of direct them back to the house they were before. And they're like, "Oh no, you were in the right door." Because they see a little girl that looks just like Boo, and they follow her. And it turns out that little girl is Boo's granddaughter. Time has passed. So the old woman that says Kitty to him in the beginning is Boo. She's just an adult now. And on top of that, she's also really old, so she's on her way out.
Okay.
So the last thing,
well,
yeah.
The passage of time, I guess the surprise is that more time has passed than we think.
Well, so if the way it goes is right, that means that those doors might be dimensional, and they probably cross through different parts of time.
Oh, so it's not. Oh, got it. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
They're in different, they're like vortexes. They're like the time passes. Like it might have been a few months.
So it's not just space, it's time.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Okay.
So I guess there's another link to the theory with Boo being an old lady. You guys seen Brave?
Yep.
The old lady that they go see in the hut, she's a mute, right? She kind of like opens a door in one sequence and then walks out the other door. When she's talking with Merida.
Merida. Yeah.
Merida, yeah. Merida. So when she's talking to that lady, when she's talking to her, what winds up happening is if you look very closely in the walls in the background, you see a drawing of Sully and Boo.
Uh-huh.
So the idea is she's Boo.
Oh, whoa, hold on.
Wild. She's been looking for Sully too, so that's why she can walk in and out of doors and appear in different places.
Mm-hmm. That's how she somehow ended up in medieval Scotland.
Yep. So, and if you look at her very closely, she kind of does look a little bit like Boo.
A little bit like Boo.
Little bit.
Okay.
Little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, that's the Pixar theory.
That's a fun one. Yeah.
I need to go rewatch Brave
Well,
just to kind of see, take a look at, keep an eye out for that.
this is the one that I will tell people: go rewatch the Pixar movies. They're not bad. They're a lot better than those Minions. Have you guys heard Minions theory before?
I would love to hear this one.
Yeah, go for
It's
it.
a simple question. Where were
Uh-huh.
the Minions between 1934 and 1946?
Oh my goodness.
Okay, hold on. I have heard this one before.
Oh,
What is
that
it?
is awful.
What are the details again?
Well, where were they? They're supposed to be helping supervillains out. So where were the
Yeah,
Minions
uh-huh.
during 1937?
I'm done. I am done.
It's a bad one. It's a bad one.
Right? They were helping out some poor, down on his luck art student who came back from fighting in the Great War, who said, "I'll show them," and then or whatever the hell those things sound like, right? I just got us canceled. That's exactly what I just did.
Again.
Hey, you were just quoting something. It's not your idea.
No, it's not my idea.
But we laughed at it, so I guess
Yeah.
we are canceled.
Yeah, we're canceled. Canceled.
Yeah.
Fuck for that one. But no, in all seriousness, right? Like it is.
So, you know what my favorite one is?
Shoot.
All right, so my favorite one is at a certain point, Hanna-Barbera did a Jetsons Flintstones crossover.
Ooh, yeah.
You know this one? Yeah. Okay. So, and the Jetsons are supposed to go back in time. That's sort of like the official story.
I thought they were going forward.
That's the
in time.
official story. But as the conspiracy theory goes, they actually go further into the future, and that's where the Flintstones are. The Flintstones actually take place in the future after a nuclear holocaust sends us back to the Paleolithic era.
So what I thought it was that they opt to go into the future. And then when they go into the future, they really don't go into the future. They think they went into the past and they land in bedrock. But then what it turns out is that the machine said no, they were actually in the future all along. Thus the idea that the Flintstones is actually a post-apocalyptic world. That they're just trying to rebuild everything, right? That's what I remember hearing with that one.
Okay, yeah. And it's like the reason why they have things that are kind of like cars, except they're operated with their feet, which I think is just a brilliant thing about the Flintstones. It's like why yeah, but it's precisely that. It's that they're trying to rebuild. The theory doesn't explain why there are dinosaurs. Because, well, I mean, not only did humans and dinosaurs never coexist, not even in the past, but
Do you want a theory within a theory?
Why would you just get dinosaurs when you go into a future that resembles the past? Maybe some sort of like nuclear radiation caused mutations. Maybe it just made the lizards bigger.
You want a theory within a theory?
I want it.
So, what if in Jetson's time they actually managed to do cloning like Jurassic Park? But
Yeah.
like when the first Jurassic Park movie came out, we thought that's what dinosaurs looked like, right? We thought they looked like lizards. But if you were actually to go back and watch the original, like go back and look up what dinosaurs most likely really looked like, they looked like giant chickens. Like the Velociraptor looked like a big pissed off turkey, right? It didn't look anything like, those cool lizards like in those movies. They didn't look like that at all. So what if the same thing happened with the Jetsons? They cloned the dinosaurs, and then when the world ended, a few dinosaurs managed to survive the fallout because they're radioactive clones of what people thought are dinosaurs, just abominations. And, they bred, and then, as is man, we were able to tame them and use them for appliances because, well, we're never going to touch electricity the proper way again if we're in that era, right? Electricity caused all kinds of crap. We are going to settle for our stone TVs, our stone telephones, and from there, if you want a car, make one out of stone and walk, bitch. That's as good as it's going to get.
It's like, a bicycle would do.
That's too much machinery. That's
Yeah,
the
it's
devil, I tells you, because there is.
Okay, right, yeah.
If it's made out of metal, it's too much machinery.
You've stolen my soul.
But so here's one that's not a conspiracy theory. I think this one is pretty well established. It's not even really an interpretation. It's more just an observation. But the Flintstones is a ripoff of the Honeymooners.
Oh yeah.
It's basically just the Honeymooners in the Stone Age.
Yeah.
Or as Joseph, you would like to put a Fallout Flintstones edition.
Yep. Fallout Flintstones edition. Actually, if anybody out there can make that mod, anybody who's tuned in through TikTok and listening still, because I know TikTok is very fleeting. Anybody, you can go ahead and make that mod. I would be totally appreciative of it. A TikTok Flintstones mod, or one where I shoot Leonard Nimoy. Just one. I'll download it.
Said his name.
And go on Steam.
Said his name.
People stopped again. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Spock.
This podcast is doomed now.
Could have made it into to the 30-minute mark. Could have made it to the 30-minute mark.
Did we?
No, 26 minutes.
Fuck. Close. Anyways. But no, I remember hearing about that one, and that's actually what I think with the Flintstones one. Like, hey, that's what it is. And, if we go back to technology, because isn't Christianity a thing in the Flintstones world?
Oh, I don't think they would. I mean, they do celebrate Christmas.
They celebrate Christmas, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Makes no sense.
Yeah, they're
That makes no
And
sense.
they call it Christmas too. They don't call it
Yeah,
Yule.
yeah.
They don't call it like the Holly Festival or nothing. They call that like straight up Christmas.
right. Yeah.
Fucking nostalgia critic. Gee, Fred, why do we celebrate a why do we celebrate a holiday about a religious figure that hasn't been born yet, Fred? It makes no sense. Just eat your fucking cereal, Bon. All right. Shut up and eat the cereal, Bon. We're still making money off of them kids' chewable vitamins that are no good for you, but people think they are. And they do sell cigarettes. Gee, Fred, the cigarettes are smooth. That's right, Bon.
I do think that Fruity Pebbles are the original item of the paleo diet.
They are.
Right?
I still eat them once in a blue.
That counts, right? That's what I always thought the
Yep.
paleo diet was.
Yeah, it is the paleo diet as far as I'm concerned.
yeah.
Anybody that tells me otherwise, I will beat them over the head with a club.
Wrong.
My caveman instinct gonna kick in. I'm gonna fucking hit somebody over the head with that one. You're wrong. Fuck you. I don't want to hear otherwise. I will eat my Fruity Pebbles and Cocoa Pebbles all I want. But yes.
Me on a diet. Me working on waistline.
But yes.
Anyway, enough of the nonsense.
That's the nonsense.
Let's go back to more nonsensical theories. Cartoons. Bolt,
Stick
you
with
got
the
any more?
nonsense that we're supposed to be talking about.
All right, so
All right.
let me throw out a theory
Yeah.
that I recently came across.
Mhm.
Have you guys heard about the one about Courage the Cowardly Dog? The reason why Eustace, the old man, a part of like the 3-character ensemble of that show, was just so ruthlessly mean to him and treats the dog so terribly.
Mhm.
So a theory that I came across in regards to him was how Courage reminds Eustace of how he was as a child.
Aw,
Mm,
that's kind of sad.
that's really dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the evidence to support this was apparently, what's the name of the episode? Yeah, The Curse of Shirley. You get a backstory, well, a glimpse into Eustace's backstory of his younger self when he's hallucinating. He was a very timid and meek child, easily frightened, much like our ironically named dog, Courage. And his timidness would have just in his childhood just increased his parents' well, their lack of empathy towards him, and apparently he had an older brother too. So basically, he grew up in a household where everyone just abused him and just mistreated him. So this dog, this resembles
You're
what
making me
this
feel
was as a kid.
feelings for a character I've grown up hating.
Yeah, I know. I don't like it either. But like, this theory gives uses some character depth.
It is what it is.
But he's a horrible
like it.
fucking person. I don't want character death for Eustace. He's a dick.
Yeah.
Stupid dog. You made me look bad. Booga booga booga. Okay, that's as far as he goes. I don't want to feel bad for him. Especially,
And, I mean, sometimes the point of fictional characters is just to have just to have people that we can have simple feelings about.
Yep, so they can get murdered and we don't feel anything for them.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but you know the well-known catchphrase of the show, "Stupid dog." Yeah,
Yes.
it's basically a mirroring of what his mother used to call him, "Stupid boy."
Oh.
Oh, god damn it.
Yeah. Enjoy that. Enjoy that.
Oh dear.
Yeah, feel for the angrily bitter old man. Feel for him.
You know what? I don't care if he was abused. He had a chance to break the cycle of abuse and he chose to take it out on a poor dog. Fuck that guy.
He couldn't break the cycle.
Yeah, he couldn't.
No way.
He chose to
couldn't.
pick
He
on
was
a poor
designed
little
to-
dog that's always looking out for him. He's an asshole. So,
Look, the dog is the one that is breaking the cycle. He is doing everything despite this old man
I
hating
didn't
his
say I
guts.
didn't like the dog. I love the dog. Fuck
know.
Eustace. That's all I have to say. Fuck Eustace. He sucks. Eustace is every boomer parent that we know that's like, I was abused, so it's okay. No, fuck you. No. Break the cycle. That's Eustace.
Break the
Take it out
cycle,
on a
there we
poor
go.
dog. It's innocent and defenseless. So I love that Hunchback episode where that guy freaks him out. What did that poor dog ever do to you? I have
That
a
was like a
scary
first-
face.
That was the first glimpse of like, okay, yeah, this is this is gonna be revisited at some point, and it was.
It was.
Man, oh,
But
man.
all I have to say is fuck Eustace. I don't feel bad for him. Asshole. But yes.
So some of these aren't so much like kind of wild stories spun as like an alternate backstory or like the thing that's actually going on that you're not seeing. Some of them are just kind of interesting interpretations that do have some validity, even if you can't call them true. So like for Hey Arnold, the one I read about Hey Arnold is that Helga is actually the main character because so much of the monologuing comes from Helga. A lot of the show centers around Helga's thoughts. In many of the episode, Helga is kind of working behind the scenes, or the story of Arnold is told through Helga's eyes. So I kind of like that one. That Helga's actually the main character of Hey Arnold. Indeed, the show isn't called Arnold; it's called Hey Arnold. It's a statement about Arnold from somebody else, and that someone is alleged to be Helga.
Hey Arnold.
Yeah, right.
It's such a deep show.
It really is. I
Right.
think that in terms of like overall quality, that's Nickelodeon's best show.
Oh yeah. I was actually really upset when it was just unceremoniously canceled.
We got a movie before.
They did a movie,
They
yeah.
did a movie, but then it was canceled after the movie was done. And then after that, there is a movie that came out like I think maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah, they did like a TV movie or like a streaming movie.
Yeah, it was a streaming movie to close up the story. And there was supposed to be a spin-off for the show for just the viewer just mentioned it. There was supposed to be a spin-off for Hey Arnold, but they didn't do it, not because it's too depressing, but because there was already another show that would have been too similar to it on MTV because it wasn't going to be on Nickelodeon. It was going to be on MTV. The show in question was Daria. Daria and Helga would have been too similar, so they canceled it.
Okay.
I mean,
And
I personally would have
apparently-
rather followed Helga around than fucking Daria. I always hated Daria growing up. Hi, I'm Daria. I talk like this in every episode, and I'm supposed to be really funny, but I'm really not. I have no expressions, but people find this show to be hilarious, even though it's really not. Yeah, I'd take a whole episode of Daria, just like right there in a nutshell. Hi, everybody. This is how I talk.
All right, so that explains why just a viewer chimed in and said it was rejected for being too depressing.
Yeah, the Helga show was too depressing, but when you actually go pay attention to Helga, there's actually another fan theory that it's believed that that's actually a thing. It's just never been flat out proven. I'm also going to take a moment here to say, fuck you, Big Bob. I hope you went out of business after that Jungle movie. I take some sense of satisfaction knowing that beepers aren't used by anybody anymore for any goddamn reason. And I really hope that your business went to shit and you feel like a loser now for how you made Helga feel all those years. You and your lousy ass alcoholic wife. And there's the theory. So the theory is that Helga's mom
okay,
is a
adding
wino.
Big Bob Pataki to our list of ghastly
That was
Howard.
out of left field. What the?
I've said this for years. I take satisfaction in knowing that fucking Big Bob went out of business at least 20 years ago. When's the last time you guys saw a pager?
When I rewatched the Christmas episode of Hey Arnold, probably.
In my nightmares, why?
That's what Big Bob used to sell. Big Bob's beepers. Ain't nobody
Bob
buying them
beepers,
shits no more, Bob. Fuck you. I hope you went out of business.
I don't think I ever knew any grown-ups that had beepers. I think the only reason I knew about them was from Hey Arnold.
I actually did know adults using beepers, but they stopped using them circa 1998. So I only saw them use it for a year.
What about
Yeah.
hospitals?
Well, I mean, it was like
Just
if
the viewer?
it's like if you were a business person or a lawyer or like a cab driver or something, like someone who like kind of needed to be in touch with the outside world a lot to make their business work.
Also, people in hospitals, because
Well,
remember,
doctors-
Scrubs still used beepers.
The reason
For
why
all the
doctors
seasons.
the reason why doctors use pagers is because they're low latency. So like you can get a signal in a lot easier with a beeper because it's less computing power getting done. But even then they're starting to phase them out because there's a new grand powerful invention in hospitals nowadays. It's called Wi-Fi. So if you have a
Ooh.
smartphone, you just log into the hospital Wi-Fi, which is specifically for the doctors, and they can just send you a ping right there. No need to have a fucking beeper from Big Bob's asshole beepers. Fuck you, Big Bob. You were negligent to that kid and you raised a bully.
calling them asshole beepers like makes it sound like a different product.
At this point, that's what those things are. They are a different product now.
It's like, oh, excuse me, I'm being paged. Reaches down into his pants.
Oh my goodness.
And
The
then
asshole
Big... and then Big Bob went to jail for exposing himself to a bunch of kids
Yeah.
for a fucking beeper. Fuck
I
you,
was
Big
just
Bob.
trying to help people optimize their space. Dad, you're embarrassing me.
Famous last words, if any.
You know, that's actually the fan theory, though, that Helga's brother is an alcoholic.
Yes, yeah, and that one. I mean, I think that one's pretty
That one-
well established. That's like heavily implied.
There's an episode where they say, oh yeah, she lost her license. And they're like, why'd you lose your license? No one asks, like, why'd she lose her
How's that
license?
happen? Yeah.
She's always sleeping. She's always moping around the house. And then she's like, 2019 article pagers are used 80% of hospitals. Fucking
What the-
boomer doctors are fucking using those things still. I don't want to text. I don't want to be on your Instagrams because I'm an old boomer. Now go get me my Viagra. Fucking.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's kind of like the alternate theories, but then there's the sorts of things that you notice when you rewatch it when you're older.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when you go and watch, what do you call it, Rocco,
Uh-huh.
and then you notice the name of the restaurant where Rocco and Heifer used to eat all the time was called
Yeah.
the Choky Chicken.
Yeah.
It was a Choky Chicken for a long time until I think like the censors cracked down and they're like, all right, we're calling it the Chewy Chicken. But for the longest time, that shit was called
That's a
the
good one.
Choky Chicken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was the best.
Yeah. Yeah. I think when I was older, my father explained that one to me.
Oh, man. The adult things you learned watching cartoons when I was a kid. There was a very famous joke I used to say with our buddy back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, Sarah, please. Sarah, it's $10 a pill. Man, June, I got to go see the Bohem.
Where's this one from?
From The Simpsons.
Oh,
And
from
I
The Simpsons.
remember our buddy comes up to me and goes, so as a kid, that's how I learned what Viagra was.
Oh, okay.
Okay. That's
Sarah,
That
it's
is-
$10 a pill.
Well,
it is a way to learn about drugs of that variety.
sure.
I'll say that.
Yes. So, I actually have a Simpsons theory that I put up on Tumblr, like, wow, almost 15 years ago now, I guess.
Okay.
So this one's going to sound weird, but I actually did have evidence of it. And it takes place in the episode where the Simpsons go to Itchy and Scratchy World.
Mm-hmm.
So in that episode, so here's the theory. Why don't the Simpsons age? And why doesn't Springfield ever really age? Like, they get stuff, but the world in itself kind of stays the same. It looks like it's an old 1980s town, right?
Right. So, like the show gets updated as far as the technology goes, and but the characters don't age.
And the car still looks like an old 70s car that somebody, like, maybe in the mid 90s,
Right.
early 90s would have gotten his hands on because it's all he could afford, right?
Yeah, like in current episodes, they have cell phones,
Yeah, like, they have cell phones now,
Yeah.
right? But, like, everything
Yes.
else around them, like, looks really...
so it's always updated to the present time. But
Yeah.
the characters stay the same ages.
Yeah, and even the town, like, a lot of the stuff still looks like from back in the day. Even their outfits look kind of like late 80s type of adult things, like stuff you would see your dad wear as a kid.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
why is that? So, what season was that Itchy and Scratchy episode? Let me just pull that up. Itchy and Scratchy Land. That was in season 6. So, when the Simpsons go to Itchy and Scratchy Land, there's a scene where they're driving on the way there, and then Homer falls asleep at the wheel. Right? He falls asleep at the wheel, and then they crash. But then you see that it cuts over to them looking at the car crash, and they go, "Gee, glad it wasn't us now, huh? Yeah, we stayed over the night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, they were in the car.
Okay. So and they're actually ghosts at that point.
Yeah, like them going to
Okay.
Itchy and Scratchy Land was basically a dive into hell. In the beginning, it starts out like paradise, right? They're having fun, and then they have to atone for the bad shit that they do. They can't
Right.
respect paradise, Homer and Bart. So then by the end, the people maintaining paradise kick them the fuck off of the helicopter and leave them to fend for themselves.
Yeah.
Once they're able to fend for themselves, they're allowed to go back somewhere, but they're not really allowed to cross over. They're not allowed in paradise anymore. They get sent back home. So they're in Springfield, and then the show
Well-
starts to get wackier after that, if you pay close attention.
Oh,
Later-
interesting. What season is that?
Season 6.
Season 6. Okay.
Because later on in the same season, right, that's the episode, I think, where the comet is coming to Springfield.
Mm-hmm.
And the comet, in my book, does hit Springfield. and that's why the whole town is just kind of like Silent Hill. Because if you look over at Shelbyville, when you first see Shelbyville, there are a bunch of inbred hicks, right? But
Yes.
whoever escaped Springfield probably went over to Shelbyville, and now Shelbyville has its own. Shelbyville had its own opera house. I remember. Shelbyville has a better economy than Springfield does, and it's all overall doing much better than Springfield is, because it's progressed, it's growing, it's a town, it's a real town. Whereas Springfield is a ghost town, it's kind of stuck in the
Okay.
same place. So that's one of I actually posted that theory a while ago on Tumblr, and it actually did get quite few hits. I even posted the clip where you see
Yeah.
that the car
Did
hits.
anybody engage or like add to the theory?
Some people were just like, "Holy crap, that makes sense." And
Okay.
but what do you guys think of that one?
Plausible.
Yeah, it has some teeth to it.
Yeah. I like it.
Along with all the Simpsons, can we get a Simpsons Silent? We might get a Simpsons Silent Hill mod out there somewhere.
You never know.
I would like to play that one just to view it. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Barney
So,
is Pyramid Head.
All right. So I've got some of my own theories.
Go for it.
Ready for some theories? Okay. So there's an episode of The Angry Beavers where Norbert and Daggett are exchanging insults as they often do. And Norbert says to Daggett, "You don't even look like a beaver. You look like a pointy bird." And so I'm thinking, wait a minute. What if Daggett actually isn't a beaver? What if he actually is a bird? What if he's an adopted bird?
That
What do you
would
think
make
about?
sense. He runs like a bird, doesn't he? Like,
Yeah.
"Ee."
Yeah, and whenever he goes flying through the air, he goes woo. That sounds like a bird. That doesn't sound like a beaver.
Oh wow! I say we eat the beaver.
Yeah.
Another
Also,
Rocco joke.
whenever they're encountered by a person, they're never correctly identified as beavers. The person always thinks that they're weasels or something like that.
Ah, yes.
Mm-hmm.
That was always made me laugh because they get so pissed off about it too. They're like, no. Oh my god.
Yeah. Okay. That one's a bit of fun. Ren and Stimpy. Ren and Stimpy takes place in a multiverse because
That
in
makes
each
sense.
episode they're like the same characters, but they're always different people. So it's like sometimes they're street rats, sometimes but sometimes they live in a house and Ren has like a job. Sometimes they're nature documentary hosts. So it's all like different trajectories that these two characters could have taken in different universes. And this is the, this is riffing off something that John Cristofalusi himself said about the way that he wrote the show. He said that he focuses on the characters' personalities, doesn't really focus much on like consistently with plot or like the world, which makes sense because one of his biggest influences as a comedy writer was the Three Stooges. And if you watch the Three Stooges, it's the same thing. It's the same three guys, but sometimes they're plumbers, sometimes they're in the army, sometimes they're chefs.
Sometimes they're boxers.
Right. Yeah. So that's sort of like adding like a sci-fi element to that aspect of the show.
Which makes a lot of sense too. Why they kept telling me not to piss on an electric fence.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I didn't
You know-
listen, but they told me not to do it.
This is the sort of realization that drives you to space madness.
That was just a space part.
Okay, this is one from Clara. So, dear audience, Clara is my wife. I was talking with her about this, and she submitted this as her own theory. Okay, so Arthur, the PBS show based on the children's books, Arthur is basically a post-human Planet of the Apes world, where humans have gone extinct and all the other animals have like filled the niche of the bipedal, big-brained, complex civilization building uh, race, but it's like a multi-species civilization.
So wait, when does Arthur meet the great old doctor who tells him, "Beware, man! Man will kill his brother for his land. Beware!" When do we get that part?
I mean, man is extinct. I don't even know if there's even a record of man ever having existed in this world.
Do we get to at least see at some point Marky Mark lands on the rocket and then he starts singing, "Oh my God, I was wrong. It was Earth all along. Yes, you finally made a monkey." Sorry.
I better not get us copyrighted.
Oh, whatever. Well, actually, to that point, and this is a fact, verified fact, that in the series finale of Arthur, they do find the Lincoln Memorial, and it is an aardvark.
Ooh. Yes, we finally made a monkey.
Same episode when they changed the art style to match South Park.
Yeah, there's one episode that they sent in fan viewers some of that, and they did it.
Yeah, they like parodied other cartoons. Yeah. Okay, I've got another one.
Go for it.
You ready for this? Okay, so this one's on Invader Zim. This one's pretty out there. Okay, so Zim is actually a human, and he's a double agent who's ultimately working for the U.S. government. See, okay, so he posed as an alien and went to Urkin, and he did that so that he could do damage to their civilization, because that's part of the backstory, is that he's a complete incompetent, that the Urkins don't know what to do with him because he's just messing everything up. So, but he was sent there deliberately as a plant to damage their civilization, as well as gather intelligence on their activities for the U.S. So, but then the Urkins sent him back to Earth, which was part of a plan, because the Urkins are being manipulated. So the Urkins sent him back to Earth to keep tabs on it, and now he serves on Earth, still working for the U.S. government, but posing as an alien in a false flag, but posing as an alien who's posing as a human in a false flag operation to keep Dib, the kid, away from the truth about extraterrestrials.
Because we gotta tell the truth that these aliens are out there.
Right.
That's right. And the only way you can avoid, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to Alex Jones, the only way you can avoid the alien infection is if you take colloidal silver and remember to have Kanye West on your show.
Hey, no free promo. No free promo. We talking about? We cut that right now.
Yes. Yeah. So if someone tuned in right then, like right when I finished my story, and then when you started with that, they're like, "Oh God, how did I get onto InfoWars?" Bad time to tune in, people.
Just a viewer just said you can't make Zim competent. The thing is, they want you to think that he's incompetent. That's the thing. All right? And remember, this is all a plot by the globalists to tell you that the aliens are not competent, that they don't exist, but they do. But Invader Zim is a false flag operation powered by the globalist agenda. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
God, cursing that guy hurts my fucking throat. Wow.
So that last part with Zim being with the false aliens as a false flag operation to keep the paranormal investigators away from the actual truth, is based on a plot point in the X-Files, where supposedly that's what all of the deductions and everything that Mulder has been investigating actually was. So that part I'm borrowing from the X-Files, but the main point is that Zim is a human posing as an alien posing as a human. That's my theory.
Cool. He's just like that guy from South Park who everybody thinks is Chinese, but he's really not. He's just some white guy with schizophrenia.
I like how I like how you said cool like butthead.
Cool.
It's just a cartoon jamboree. This episode.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I can actually give you a live action theory that I've heard out there that some people think is possibly a thing.
Uh-huh.
You guys watched Game of Thrones or heard of Game of Thrones?
Oh, that wonderful failure of a masterpiece.
So,
Whoa, complex feelings.
Strong feelings. Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Not really strong.
I have a
It's
conspiracy theory behind that show, but that's when we say conspiracy theories. This one, however, is actually a very simple one. Game of Thrones is really just a Dungeons and Dragons campaign where the DM is hell bent on killing all of the characters one way or another.
Spoiler warning: he doesn't get his wish.
But here's the thing, though. Fun story. I've told this one to my friends a few times. I knew a dude that used to know George R. R. Martin, not personally, but he used to run into him a lot because before he got Game of Thrones, George R. R. Martin used to go to a lot of D&D conventions and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Before he had the show, he used to just be a regular dude, regular nerd. He was like the comic book guy. Like legit, he looked like the comic book guy too, just some fat white guy with glasses and shit.
he kind of does actually.
So what was funny is my friend says one day he was hosting a D&D thing or something like that. Right? He says he was playing at it, and my friend was fortunate enough to go sit at the table. If this is true or not, but my buddy told me this back in like 2015-ish, the story. And then what's crazy is that this all came true on the show. So my friend made an accurate roll in the middle of the game, and George R. R. Martin said, well, congratulations, you won, so I have to give you a prize because you managed to make it through my impossible campaign or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you get to know I'm going to tell you 3 things. 2 out of the 3 are real, are going to happen are in my timeline for the series. He's just writing the book.
Uh-huh.
And all 3 wound up happening, which were
okay.
discussing the parentage of one of the characters, the fate of the throne itself, and certain characters that actually were not going to make it, and they actually died exactly as he said they would. Mm-hmm. And I remember telling a few people that I was hanging out with when the show was in its prime in 2016 that this is what he heard, and then it actually happened, and it was like, whoa, wow. So it happened, but who knows if this story really was a thing, but it's just stuff that I would hear about George R. R. Martin, which makes me believe, yes, Game of Thrones might potentially just be Tina's Tiny Wonderland, and Tina is hell-bent on killing everybody. One way or another. You won that battle, fine, you're going to die eating dinner.
This is sick. It's sick.
It's sick. Sick bastard.
But it's true.
But yes.
Maybe. Who knows?
Bolt, you've been extremely mute this whole session. Do you have any other theories of your own?
I mean, John was on a roll, so I didn't want to disrupt his train of thought because that was chugging at full speed.
I was in it, but go ahead.
Honestly, I'll give just like one more theory. It's not one I came up with because honestly, I at one point maybe I had some theories, but those are just long forgotten at the time because creativity is just rotted away with the wayside. But anyways, another random theory that I came across was Harry Potter theory in regards to Hogwarts being a mental institution, which is crazy considering how that series ended up playing out when it's done.
Interesting.
But, yeah. So yeah, apparently the Harry Potter series was an extended metaphor for mental illness, or about a boy with severe mental illness suffering from delusions. So like apparently the theory goes that everything depicted in the movie can be interpreted as a recitation from his delusional perspective of his attempts to cope with the harsh realities of his confinement in his mental institution.
I mean, I've heard
'Cause
this
he
theory too. So like the way that I've heard the theory goes is like this: the four houses are four wings of the asylum. Harry is a survivor of abuse, but he wound up losing his mind, so he retreats into a fantasy of being a wizard, and he's just at a school with a wizard. The professors are just doctors. The Dementors are the guards that make sure you stay in place, and Ron and Harry are kids of the doctors, and it's because Harry's like a low risk uh, child. He's not gonna hurt anybody. They let him play with Harry, but at the same time, that's why time will pass during the summer and they won't hear from Harry anymore. Harry won't hear from them for long periods of time. It's because the parents are like, yeah, we don't know if we should let him really keep hanging out with you guys. Like, you guys are gonna grow up and move on. He's gonna forever be stuck in his fantasy.
Did it involve brain damage?
That's depressing.
Yeah, well, does it involve brain damage for running in between, into walls in between stations?
Well, yeah.
Apparently, just a viewer just threw that in there. Just like, oh yeah, it's probably also accounting for brain damage. I'm like, huh. I mean, he hit the wall pretty hard in that first movie.
But I mean, I'll give you guys another one, which is actually very dark. You guys ever hear of the Rugrats theory?
Oh,
yeah.
that's my. Can we end the night with this one? Because this is my favorite one by far that I've actually know.
You know, there's actually a song. That's how this theory became famous.
It has a song.
Yeah, it's a Korean song.
I never heard of it.
If you're tuning in, it's you tune into the live, you can hear a bit. I'll sample it.
Oh, I'm gonna get myself.
It actually uses sort of soundtracks from the actual cartoon series. So the idea is, right, that the Rugrats are all the figment of Angelica's imagination. The Rugrats are not really there. It's just all in her head. So Tommy was supposed to be a baby that was supposed to be was supposed to be born, but he was never born. Chucky died with his mother, and then the twins were a stillbirth, but she knew she didn't know what the sex was. It was a boy or a girl, so she decided to just imagine them as twins.
Mm-hmm.
And the only one, and it makes so the main driving force behind this theory is that Angelica is always telling the babies what to do, and the babies never know any better after a while.
Mm-hmm.
And they always come back to save her, even though she's been like a huge mega bitch towards the babies. She's always like, they always listen to her one way or another. So the idea is, are these characters a figment of the imagination? The dark part of the theory that I don't like is that they say baby Dill was actually born, and then she hit him when he wouldn't. She thought he was a figment of her imagination, and she hit him, and that's why he's all weird.
Oy.
So then, like, the finale of it is, oh yeah, so then Susie grew up, took all the stories that Angelica would tell her about the fake babies, and then sold it to Paramount, and they made the show on Nickelodeon.
Oh my gosh.
That's the silly part of the end of the theory.
So
What about Kimmy?
the theory is that Angelica is the creator of Rugrats.
Yeah. But
So they're taking the credit away from Arlene Klasky and Gabar Chupo.
yes. But they got Recess, so we're good. Didn't they make Recess too? So they're fine. They can
But what
afford
about-
losing that one.
Did they create Recess?
I think they did, or I think the two of the guys on that show did.
Makes sense. Their art style is similar to that.
I don't think Recess is officially a Klasky Chupo show, but it might have some overlap.
There's
terms
Joe
of
on
the
Solahabra or something like that.
Wait, you quickly skipped over the Kimmy part of that dark theory.
Well, get into it, man. That's why we're all here to wax poetic about Rugrats, about these theories. If I missed something, go ahead.
if I remember correctly, like the whole thing with Kimmy's mother, what was it? Like yeah, Chucky's father was depressed from what was it, his divorce or something like that. So he ended up like rescuing Kimmy's mother from some type of abuse. Like and she already had Kimmy. But what was it? It was I forget the dark fate that she was tied with because it was something to do. It was in along the lines of like the whole plot of the Paris movie, but with like a dark, realistic twist to it. You know what? Let me just quickly find this right now because yeah, it's been a while since I last read this theory.
Well, while you look for that one, the other thing about this theory too is like there are a few episodes that sort of lend to the credence of it. The one that I always heard lends to it is where Angelica thinks she's a princess, and then she sneaks into the truck. She sneaks into like the rat guy's truck or some shit at the end of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow she manages to walk away unscathed. The other part of the theory too is that Cynthia is Angelica's real mom. The
Wow.
doll looks like what her
Yeah,
real
well,
mother
no.
would look like, which is why she has like a thing with it. And the doll even sort of looks all fucked up, but it talks back to her in her head.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like
All
signs of a dual personality.
right, I found the theory, and wait, was Rocket Power one? Not sure about Rocket Power, but hold on, let me get through this Rex theory in regards to Kimmy. So
Mm-hmm.
in ties to the Paris movie, yeah, Chaz, Chucky's father, married a woman named Kira that was Kimmy's mother. But yeah, but what the dark realistic twist to that part of this theory is that Kimmy was torn from her because her mother Kira was a cocaine addict. And then yeah, Angelica just imagined her from Kira's stories. So what was it? Yeah, Chucky's father Chaz lost his mind after the death of his wife. It was denial that she was ever a prostitute. Upon returning
Oh,
to America
shit.
with Kira, got married, and
When
she got
when
her
did
green
we go to Chucky's mom being a hooker? What happened?
card.
Yeah, hold on. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, this is what I just found. I'm just like, wait, hold up.
Does that mean that Chucky is not Chaz's son?
Hold on, let me
Is
let
that the
me
implication? I mean, it would be a hell of a coincidence. They look a lot alike. So.
let me comb through Chucky's part. No, Chucky died along with his mother. Yeah, that's what explains why Chaz was always a nervous wreck in the show.
Oh, so Chucky is like Chaz's. Well, no, it would be Angelica's. It's all in Angelica's head.
Yeah.
So I get. Well, I mean, Angelica, I guess, would just imagine Chucky to look like Chaz, even if Chucky actually wasn't going to be Chaz's son.
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't know what infidelity is.
Yeah.
She's innocent.
I mean, you have to know what sex is before you know what infidelity is. She
Yeah. So
doesn't
she
even
never.
know what sex is yet.
Yeah. So she only imagined what Kimmy looked like based off Akira's appearance because yeah, Kimmy was torn from her mother for being coke due to her coke addiction.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
This
Rough.
one got really dark.
Yeah.
Really, really,
Yeah.
really dark. So,
Do you remember the one, the episode of Rugrats where like Chaz is sort of like more of a basket case than he usually is? I forget what the exact plot is, but he really does have a genuine nervous breakdown, and he creates a sock puppet that he talks to, and
oh, that's because in that episode, Chucky imagines what life would be like if he was never
oh
born.
yes,
Mm,
yes, okay, yeah. Yeah, which would be a strange thing for a character that doesn't actually exist to imagine. He's imagining the scenario that this conspiracy theory alleges actually is the situation.
yeah.
So, I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, you-
But so in that episode, he has the sock puppet, and at one point he turns to it
Hey,
and he says,
Saki, I wish you
"Saki,
were
I
real.
wish you were real." And he makes the sock puppet go, "Me too."
Mhm.
it gets even darker with the other parents.
Darker.
Uh, yeah. So you mentioned how Tommy was stillborn.
Mhm.
Yeah, that explains why Stu was always in the basement making toys for the son that never had the chance to live. Let's
I
see.
mean,
Oh, Angelica's mom was dead.
it's sort of like that's not really evidence because it's like he would be making toys if he had a kid too. So
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
that
I
was
mean,
his livelihood.
you can make the facts fit,
yeah,
but it's not really evidence that points to that theory.
yeah. They just use that as a base. Oh, that's why he's always in the basement. Making
Okay, well, yeah.
what was it? There was something, yeah, in regards to, yeah, Angelica's mom died of a heroin overdose just after Angelica was born.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of don't buy it because there's so many episodes that don't have Angelica in them.
It's her dreaming about it.
I guess, but I don't. I don't know. I don't like it.
You know what's another theory that I always heard from the Nickelodeons, the Nicktoons, though?
Yeah.
Hey Arnold, the Pigeon Man. You heard this one?
Pigeon Man. I
Oh,
remember the Pigeon
that
Man.
one.
Now this one's gonna get fucking dark. So
Yeah, the
strap
Pigeon Man
in with
one is
this
rough.
one. So the Pigeon Man one, basically, it's you see in the end when the Pigeon Man is flying away. Oh shit! Something's coming in the house. Okay, I'll deal with that when the time comes. So the idea is when the Pigeon Man shows up, when you see him flying away, uh, the thing is the Pigeon Man isn't really flying away. Arnold just can't interpret that he just saw the Pigeon Man jump over.
Oh my gosh.
Because the Pigeon Man, like the last thing he says is very depressing. It's like,
He said
people did
what?
this, Arnold. People did. The birds will come back. I know them. I understand them. It's people I don't understand.
Oof.
Then the birds come and lift them off, right? It's like, oh, those are like famous last words.
Yeah, right.
If it weren't for that jungle movie where we see the Pigeon Man again, I don't think a lot of us would still be questioning. We'd still be wondering,
Thank God the Pigeon Man's okay.
Yeah, we're like, oh, okay, cool.
Unless that's his brother or someone that takes up the mantle.
Shut up. The Pigeon Man is okay. All right?
Hey, look. You didn't want to hear about a little girl's mom becoming a heroin addict and becoming like deceased, and then she grows up to become addicted to various narcotics, and you don't get this happy ending.
You know what? Fine, I have another funny theory out here. This one's very,
Go for it.
very funny. We actually talked about this movie already, Night of the Living Dead.
hmm
So, what if the probe actually came from the other side of the universe and it came back from hell and that's where the dead were returning? So, have you guys ever seen the film Event Horizon?
I actually haven't. I've been meaning to.
So the idea is, right, like the spaceship it goes missing, it crossed into the other side, end of the universe, it's out of our existence is the universe, and then it made its way back, right? It came back all messed up. So somebody posted this a long time ago. I wish I could find the Reddit thread, it's gone. So this guy posted, what if the probe came from the Event Horizon and landed on Earth? That's why people can't make out what it is, because essentially there's no more room in hell, and the dead are rising again.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because it's like the explanation is like it's some sort of satellite, but like why the dead?
Yeah,
Like why not some other strange event? Like um why not like in Hitchcock? Like birds just start killing people. Why is it that it raises the dead? Okay.
Hello, I need the biggest bird cell you have. No, that's too big. Fucking Simpsons. There is a Simpsons theory out there too. one more that's actually very interesting.
Yeah.
Lenny is the father of Bart and Lisa.
Okay.
If you take a look at Lenny
Mm-hmm.
and compare him to the rest of the Simpsons,
Right.
he does look a lot like them.
He does. He has the same like 5 o'clock shadow that Homer does.
And then in another bit, the same thing. You see that Lenny was actually dating Marge when Homer was an acrobatic, was doing acrobatic work.
Okay. Mhm.
And then another part of it is when Homer basically lies, like, "Oh yeah, Lenny was in an accident today." Not Lenny, not Lenny. And then she goes and tells the kids, like, Lenny was hurt. Not Lenny! And they have, like, a shrine to Lenny with candles and
Oh,
everything.
so the kids know? Oh my
The
gosh.
kids know and everybody
This
knows.
goes deeper than we thought.
It's just that Homer is too fucking stupid
Well,
to
that I
actually put
believe.
it together. And on top of that, like, I always say this quote, and people who are around me might know this one. A sucker is worth his own weight in gold. So, at the end of the day, like, Homer does slave away for the Simpsons one way or another.
Mhm.
So it's not in Marge's interest to let him go.
Mm,
Even though he is like a hazard, right? It's still just
right.
not in her interest to let Homer go. What are you guys' thoughts on that one?
Yeah. Wait, so like she keeps Homer around because Lenny's not going to step up if she lets him go?
Well, Lenny's a bum. Please don't
Lenny's a
tell
bum.
anyone how I live. Remember that? Please don't tell anyone how I live.
Oh, okay.
They knock down his house and it's just him in his underwear and a can of beans. Please don't
Mm.
tell anyone how I live. Oh
So
yeah,
Homer's bad, but Lenny's worse.
yeah. Like Lenny's worse.
Okay. Yeah.
Lenny is not exactly like lining up. Marge knows
Well,
better.
well, you know what my favorite Lenny quote is? It's from a Treehouse of Horror where it's the Killer Dolphin episode. It's parroting that first scene in Jaws. He flies out. He swims out from the beach holding a bottle of
Liquor
beer.
and
And he
liquor and
takes a
nighttime
swig
swimming.
and he goes,
Oh,
alcohol and night swimming. It's a winning combination.
yep. And then
Yeah.
he's the first one to go.
Yep. Oh no, sharks!
Oh, it's just dolphins, the clowns of the
Clowns of the
sea.
sea. Ow!
Oh man, he does not know how wrong he is. Dolphins are. So you guys want to know something fucked up about dolphins?
I know all about it, but go ahead.
You know, dolphins are known to SA people.
Essay.
Sex-
Assault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, you know that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No,
I've
I've
heard
heard
reports.
That King of the Hill shit was true, where Hank Hill
Yeah.
gets assaulted by a dolphin. That shit actually does happen, except it's much darker than the dolphin just humping you. The dolphin
There's
uses its dick as like a clutch, right? And it grabs you
right.
and brings you all the way down to the briny deep. And it drowns you and has sex with your corpse and laughs at people after, they find the body. It does the little
It's
like
a
trick.
wow. That's
Well,
rough.
and just like that, we just lost our sponsor from SeaWorld.
Get him out of here. Or get him back to SeaWorld. They're on to
They're
us.
very protective of the dolphin's image.
But yes.
All right, gentlemen.
So there is one more that I'll bring up because just a viewer just mentioned it. Do you guys ever hear the King of the Hill theory?
Is this the one that is it another alternate parentage theory?
Yes.
Okay. I was working on one where it turns out that Dale actually is Joseph's father, but I haven't quite worked it out. But
So
let's go to yours. Yeah.
here's the established one. It's not established, but it's like one that people mentioned a few times. Hank is not really Bobby's dad.
Oh, he's Bill's dad, or
Boomhauer's son.
Boomhauer's son. Okay.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Boomhauer gave birth to is the father of Bobby because they have like similar eyes and similar mouth structures,
Mm-hmm.
and he doesn't really look anything like Hank Bobby.
He does look more like Boomhauer. Yeah, you're
He
right.
looks like Boomhauer, and the idea is like Boomhauer, since like Peggy is naturally unhappy and very egotistical, like she probably wouldn't say anything about it. And Boomhauer would rather just not say anything about it to not piss off Hank,
Yeah.
and they would
Also
just
not
leave it
the
alone.
child support.
I mean, she has her reputation as a substitute Spanish teacher to protect.
Well, actually, that is the major motivation. She wouldn't
Yeah.
want that out because she would feel it would ruin her
Yeah.
chances of being
Her
substitute teacher of the
standing.
year.
Yeah.
So that's actually a big part of it. And the other side of it too is like Hank has a narrow urethra, and Hank
Yep.
refuses in vitro fertilization. So like, there's actually an episode they talk about that, and the idea is fucking Peggy gets pissed and goes and has sex with Boomhauer, regrets
Mhm.
it. Boomhauer's like, yeah, this is a bad idea. But then, 9 months later, Bobby's born.
Yep. There you have Bobby.
And that boy ain't right, because it ain't your son.
That boy, that boy ain't right.
Again, abortion
They're
because
in the South. They don't believe in that.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, like, they are very... So there's another theory for King of the Hill, which I'll actually say this one. It's sort of been discussed by Mike Judge. King of the Hill takes place over the course of 2 years. 1 or 2 years.
Okay.
The entire series takes place within the course of like a year.
Mm-hmm.
The final episode was supposed to be Lucky marrying Luann.
Okay.
But what happened was they got renewed for a few more seasons. So they wound up, cutting the ending. But the ending is out there. You can actually see it. Where
really?
like the four of them are sitting in the alleyway and they're talking about everything that's gone on. And it's essentially 1 or 2 years worth of time has passed from the pilot all the way to the finale. So the idea was Hank Hill and them, the whole show takes course over the place of like maybe 2002, 2004-ish. That's why Bobby doesn't really go through puberty, but Joseph does, and Joseph is kind of like a sudden boost in growth that he does midway through the series.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like one of the things that they talked about over the years. Like, yeah, it's a 1 year theory. It's a show that takes place over a course of a year. And in the same vein, right, like a lot of it is memories that, like the other Christmas episodes are potentially just memories or something that they're having, because the way that the show actually says is that Bill has crazy coma fantasies, so Hank Hill isn't really a New Yorker. That was actually a part of the deleted scene, like, yeah, Bill, you were in a coma and I'm not really from New York, that's all in your dream. But it felt so real. Yeah, Hank, it felt real. You can't lie. Shut up, Dale. That's actually one day I'll dig that. I'll send that one to you.
Yeah,
You can
dig
see
that up.
one.
Yeah.
That one's a very interesting one, though. Like, that means that the show
Yeah.
took place over the course of a year, which is why certain things happen, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. That's
And
interesting.
It'll be interesting when the show does come back and they do the time jump.
Yeah. Because the characters are going to be aged up, right?
Yeah, that's what they're supposed to be doing, a
That's
time
going
jump.
to be interesting. Like how aged up? Like aged up since since the show ended,
Since we
or
last saw them.
okay, all right. So Bobby's going to be like in his early 20s or something.
So that's actually the argument I had with somebody a while. Not argument, but like a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt that Bobby was a Gen Xer. So Bobby would be in his 40s right about now,
Oh, okay.
in my book. But someone argued with me like, well, in reality, Bobby was only a Gen Xer with the Gen Xers for a little bit, for like the first maybe quarter of the show's run. But then for the majority of it, millennials identified with Bobby more because he was kind of like, we were growing up, we all grew into Bobby, and then we were hanging out with him as we were teenagers, and then the show ended when we kind of like left our teen years, right? Like in 09-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So some people argue, is Bobby Hill a millennial or is Bobby Hill a Gen Xer?
Right. Okay. I think I get what you're saying.
Yeah, like because like the show was very contemporary for its time. So Bobby was into a lot of contemporary stuff, Bobby was into corn. Hank didn't like him being into corn. Bobby was into rap. Hank didn't like him being into rap. So much so, when the show ends, it ends right before the era, like the wave and the invasion of smartphones. So it
Right.
makes you
Yeah.
wonder what would have happened with Bobby. Where would Bobby be now? Would Bobby be a Gen Xer? Because Bobby was playing 64. Bobby was playing Tomb Raider. Bobby was he did have like certain things though that Gen Xer kids did, like troll dolls, and he went to like he was watching a lot of those Pauly Shore movies and stuff. So it makes you wonder, like, and the reason why to me it's a big point is because if I were to do King of the Hill, right? If you were to hand that show to me, it would never be. I wouldn't make it about Hank these days.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather follow Bobby around dealing as a Gen Xer as a Gen Xer, seeing how the world has changed around him from when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Because I don't think people would like Hank Hill nowadays. I mean, I didn't like him when I was a kid, but I think I would especially not like Hank Hill nowadays. He's a boomer.
Okay.
He's a boomer. Hank
Okay.
Hill stood against everything we liked as kids. Hank Hill said, "You're not watching violent video games and they should be banned." Motherfucker, I like violent video games. Hank Hill didn't want Bobby watching wrestling. Like, when I was a kid in like the 90s, I used to watch wrestling all the time. But Hank Hill was one of those people that he stood in opposition of all the things that we liked. Funny. He had
But I mean, but the way that he bristled at those things was part of the reason why he was funny.
he was funny
And
for
you know,
that reason.
he kind of reminded you of your grandfather. Where it's like he's not bad. He just doesn't quite understand why or how the world is changing around him.
So,
Depends on what type of grandfather you have.
well,
I guess. Well, yeah, sure. That's
so
a fine
this
point.
is where I go. It wouldn't be funny these days. We are now millennials have grown up into the first generation to say, "Yeah, okay, boomer. We don't care to hear you give our voice, be our voice of reason for us anymore, boomer." So Hank Hill being a boomer, how do you think he would react? How do you think people react
I
to
still
that?
like Hank.
Well,
I
I like
still
Hank as an adult, but when I was a kid, I fucking hated Hank Hill.
Oh, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, as an adult,
okay,
I like it now as an adult.
Yeah.
Would I
Yeah.
like Hank Hill as my neighbor these days, though? I think I would be one of those people that he. Actually, I'll tell you exactly what my relationship would be like if I lived next door to Hank Hill. I would be Khan.
Yeah.
I would be Khan. I would legit walk up to Hank Hill and be like, "I have everything you have, just better." And call
Right.
it a day.
Yeah.
Like, that would be me. Down to the wife. My wife looks a little bit like me. like men a little bit. Down to the kid, like, you need to get straight A's or else we're going to get out of this shit over the town we live in. But no. But yes, that's my thought on reviving that. And Dale John Redcorn theory. If you care to construct a little bit about that before we close out for just the viewer, you're more than welcome to.
Oh no. I just said I had like a brief little, because like I sat down, if you couldn't tell, I sat down and wrote out like some theories. Like I was thinking about this on and off, and I just kind of sat down and jotted down some ideas. Some I fleshed out, which I already said. Some were just sort of like the beginning. I'm not quite sure how mine would work. So, but like in the show, it's like heavily, if not explicitly, implied that Joseph is actually John Redcorn's son.
It's stated.
Not Dale's.
It's outright stated.
Yes, yeah, no, it is true, and there's even one episode where John Redcorn actually like tries to tell Dale, but Dale just doesn't get it. But no, so that one doesn't fit with the theory that I was trying to cook up. But my basic idea was just like, it turns out that somehow Joseph actually is Dale's son. I'm not quite sure how that would work, but it's like an interesting start.
I actually have one more theory on the way out, but I don't know if I should count it because it's a comic book theory, so I guess it can kind of go. You guys saw Captain America: The Winter Soldier?
Oh yeah, that
Mhm.
is actually my favorite Marvel movie.
All right. So
Yeah.
then prepare for this one. You might have heard of this before. The Hydra situation in the Winter Soldier, where Hydra has basically infiltrated all avenues and all facets of life, right?
Hmm.
That's based on a real life conspiracy theory called the Fourth Reich.
Okay.
Have you heard of this theory before?
No.
The idea is that the Nazis, when they lost World War II, a lot of them went into hiding. And a lot of them were in hiding. Some of them actually hid out in places like Argentina, Chile, Uruguay. There's a long standing theory that Hitler made it out on the midnight run. He didn't really
Yep.
die in the bunker. He
Hmm.
might be living, he might have lived his life somewhere in Argentina or whatever.
Argentina. Yeah.
But the main thing that drives that theory by is that not all the Nazis were captured after Nuremberg, and some people believe, what if they, secretly convened and instead of, flat out global domination, the way Hitler was trying, what if they infiltrated the government secretly, right? And there's a lot of buildings out there that kind of look like the swastika. There's some things out there that kind of like led credence to this theory, right? There's wacky
Mhm.
ones that say there's Nazis in the moon base and Nazi base in Antarctica.
Right.
But there is one interesting part about it, which when the movie came out, I'm like, oh shit, this is actually a big conspiracy theory. The idea that there have been Nazis that infiltrated the government, and during World War II, there actually was a known spy ring of Nazis that they pretty much got scared, like mid mission,
Hmm.
and they turned themselves over to the FBI. Uh, and some people believe that that's just the
Wow.
tip of the iceberg because there is another like some reported incident where three or four major titans of industry, the names listed are usually Heinz, Mercedes, and I can't remember the other one,
Hmm.
were approached by Prescott Bush. Were approached Prescott Bush to go speak to a general to basically loosely begin the beginning of a coup d'etat within the states.
Uh
And
huh.
the general was like, I'm going to pretend I didn't hear this. He took the documents, put it in his desk, and locked them up. And I'm going to
Hmm.
ask you to leave. So that's one of the like ongoing things. I've heard this like a few times over the years. I heard it once in college. I heard it once
Yeah.
post college. But the theory in itself is kind of funny because it's like one other theory one day I'd like to actually discuss. Conspiracy theories that are very popular out there that some people do believe. However, you guys know sometimes we do see them in TV, right? Like a lot
Of
of this
course.
stuff, those
Yeah.
theories, like they start out on TV, and we can actually poke around on that. But I figured I'd
Yeah.
mention
Well,
the
I mean,
Winter
and
Soldier one.
that's one of the ways that you can that's one of the ways that some people use to dismiss a conspiracy theory. It's like, wait, it's like, wait a minute, that's the X Files. Like, that's almost beat for beat from the X Files. That's not real. It's that kind of thing.
So the X Files is actually a prime example of when they've taken shit from real life and put it on TV.
Yeah. Or they actually anticipated some stuff too.
Oh shit! You ever see the show The Lone Gunman?
Oh yeah. Yep.
That first episode
That was literally months before 9/11.
before
I
nine
think.
eleven, and the
Yeah.
idea was that they were
I think it was like March 2001
yeah.
that episode about like people hijacking a plane and
It was
um uh,
the plane got
yeah,
hacked, and the idea was that a weapons salesman hijacked the plane, and he crashed. He was going to crash it into the World Trade Center, so
yeah,
that a war would begin, and he would make a lot of money selling weapons.
yeah.
And it was like, whoa, that one's a little too on the nose.
You're a little too on the nose. Yeah,
Yeah, whoa. But that one, like,
yeah.
that's a fun one. I think we should pin that one.
Let's pin. Yeah,
Pin that
let's
one.
pin that one and that general topic too.
Yes. And I think I'm going to close myself out with Winter Soldier. Red Bolt, you got any closeouts?
No.
Bolton, I'm on autopilot this week.
So I've got one more theory to present. Are you
Go for
ready?
it.
Okay, so in SpongeBob SquarePants, there are, like in many cartoons, there are the animals that are people, and then there are the animals that are animals. So, like, there's the classic question: why is Goofy a person, but Pluto is a dog? You know, like there are the people animals, and there are the animals. So Gary in SpongeBob is one of the animals, and he only meows. He does not speak. He doesn't use language, it seems, and yet SpongeBob can understand him. Why does SpongeBob understand what Gary is saying? My theory is that it's because SpongeBob is actually in a permanent Vulcan mind meld with Gary, which he learned how to accomplish from Leonard Nimoy.
You just had to bring fucking Leonard Nimoy back. I was good. I only mentioned that fucking guy one time.
I ruined it.
Great.
I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry.
God damn it. Oh, well. Fucking Leonard Nimoy. Bolt, you got anything else to say outside of me saying fucking Leonard Nimoy?
I knew I had took out that insurance policy when I had the chance.
Yes, you should have. Fucking Leonard Nimoy. Oh, boy. So, hopefully next week we will be able to come back. Hopefully we might be able to do something live or however the universe may treat us. But until then, fuck you, Leonard Nimoy. You keep getting me. Just keep on coming back.
Oh,
Red and Bolt closing out. And
See you later.
have a good one.